Hey there YouTube, Wrestling Optimus here, back with another action figure review. It's the end of the wrestling week, which means it's time for Friday Night SmackDown on Fox. Pretty much all the great action from Clash of Champions came from the blue brand, so I'm excited to see the fallout tonight. As always, if you're new here, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more pro wrestling and action figure content. Now, we're headed into the Thunderdome! So for a review and some fantasy booking, let's take it over to the action figures. SmackDown opens with a video package of the Roman Reigns vs. Jey Uso feud. Then, the Tribal Chief makes his way to the ring. Paul Heyman apologizes for being nervous. It's just, he's known the Anoa'i family since before Roman was born, and he's been looking forward to this day. Tonight, we apparently celebrate Roman's official coronation as the Tribal Chief. Not just of his own family, SmackDown, or even WWE, but the entire WWE universe. Roman demands the mic. He's still mad that Jey wouldn't acknowledge him as the Tribal Chief at Clash of Champions. Only Jimmy did. He tells his cousin to come to the ring. Jey says he doesn't even know Roman anymore. They're supposed to be cousins, blood, family. But at Clash of Champions, they showed each other's colors. Roman beat his ass, but never broke his spirit. Had Jimmy not thrown in the towel, that title would be his. Roman gives a brilliant response. He says this was his destiny, and he worked his ass off to get where he is. Jey knows, he watched it. Roman's loved his cousin since day one, and now that he's on top, all he wanted to do was share the main event with Jey and give him and his family a nice payday. In return, all he wanted was for Jey to acknowledge him. Instead, Jey disrespected the Chief and embarrassed him in front of the whole family. Does he think Roman's proud of what he did? No, in fact it was the worst night of his life. Yet even now, Jey won't look Reigns in the eye, only at the title. Well, if he wants another shot, fine, but this time it will have the highest stakes in WWE history. Roman leans in and whispers, "If you accept this challenge, there's going to be real consequences this time." As he walks out, Jey replies, "Whatever the stakes, you're on." AJ Styles randomly comes out and mocks the youngest Uso, calling him a runt. Styles doesn't want him to get a rematch because he doesn't want to see Jey take another beating. Besides, someone more qualified should get that shot. It's not exactly the night to be messing with Jey Uso, though. He tackles AJ and lays into him. This leads to a match between the two. Jey is aggressive and dominates at the start until AJ manages to suplex him over the announce table. Later, Jey does a dive to the outside, a super kick, and a flying Uso splash to pick up a win over the former champion. Meh, Styles has nothing better to do right now, and we got a pretty good match out of it, so I can't complain. But they really need to find something better for him now that he's out of the Intercontinental title picture. He's arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world, so my fantasy booking is for him to get drafted over to Raw and feud with either Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship or Keith Lee to help put him over. Speaking of the Intercontinental title picture, Sami Zayn cuts a promo after retaining his belt in that incredible ladder match at Clash of Champions. He says he's not going to gloat because he's too angry that he even had to defend what was rightfully his in the first place. He was mad at management, but now he's mad at the audience for buying into that fraudulent tournament while he was out. So he's putting this championship title in the trash where it belongs. Then, sure enough, he pulls a Medusa and bins the belt. John Morrison takes on Mr. Money in the Bank, Otis, with Miz and Tucker barred from ringside, because of course they'd ban the two figures that I have. In a pre-match promo, Otis says he'll be representing himself in court next week. That should be sports entertaining. The match lasts about 3 minutes before Otis does the Caterpillar and hits a Vader bomb for the win. As Sheamus makes his way to the ring, we see a pre-recorded video from Big E. He wants to beat up Sheamus everywhere, from the luxury box suites to the Magic Kingdom, so he challenges the Celtic Warrior to a Falls Count Anywhere match next week. According to commentary, seeing that video pissed off Sheamus, so he squashes Shorty G, who gets a jobber's entrance, in under 2 minutes this time, with 2 consecutive brogue kicks. I feel so bad for Chad Gable that I'm going to fantasy book something better for him. It's a no-brainer, but that's exactly why WWE should have originally done it when they had the chance. Make Chad Gable the illegitimate son of Kurt Angle. Then have them team up with Ronda Rousey and Mark Henry to form the Olympians, and use Kurt's influence as GM to reward Gable with undeserved opportunities until we despise him. Kevin Owens is prepping backstage for his interview with Alexa Bliss. In the background, unbeknownst to him, a TV flashes with images of The Fiend. As part of the Brand to Brand Invitational, we get a special edition of the KO show on SmackDown. His guest is Alexa Bliss, who's been acting very strange lately. Kevin says he's been paying attention to SmackDown just in case he gets drafted here, and has a lot of questions about Alexa's recent change in attitude. It reminds him a lot of Aleister Black. He figures if he can understand the darkness that's taken over Alexa, maybe he can understand what's happened to Aleister too. But Alexa plays dumb. Owens claims she's not the same happy person he met at the Performance Center. She says people change, and he should try it. Kevin tells her that's exactly what he's been doing lately, but tonight isn't about him. Alexa seemingly goes into a trance and starts vaguely referring to him. She says he's terrifying and captivating to be around at the same time. Your spine chills, your body goes numb, and it feels like pins and needles when he touches you. When he looks into your eyes, it's like he's looking right through you, but you can't look away. Kevin's pretty sure she's not talking about Aleister Black anymore, and accepts that he's not getting any coherent answers from someone who's brainwashed. She responds, yes, her brain has been washed, of all the lies, cleansing her so that she can see the truth. She claims to have been changed by him. With that, Owen asks, he's here, isn't he? She says, he's everywhere. Let him in. KO kicks away his chair and takes a defensive stance as the lights go out. The lights come back up red, and the Fiend sinks in the mandible claw on KO until he passes out. All the while, Alexa watches on in silence. Then, the Fiend turns to her and slowly reaches out his hand. She places hers in his as she sadistically smiles into the camera. I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't care. One of my favorite male characters, The Fiend, plus my favorite female wrestler, Alexa Bliss? Yes, shut up and take my money. Up next, we get a 6-man tag team match between King Corbin, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Cesaro versus Matt Riddle and the Lucha House Party, who helped cheer Matt up after his loss to Corbin last week. Before the match, Kayla Braxton asks about Kalisto. Lindsay says he's having trouble with his mask because his head's gotten so big lately. However, he comes out about a minute into the match yelling, "You guys forgot me!" When Riddle faces Corbin directly, the original bro goes off, and the baby faces are in control until Kalisto misses Cesaro and accidentally catches Lindsay with an enziguri. It doesn't matter though, as Riddle nails the Swiss Cyborg with a running knee, and the bro Derek to pick up the victory. He and Kalisto start to celebrate, until Dorado attacks his Lucha brother and has to be pulled off. Ugh. More teasing of another breakup no one asked for. Carmella finally reveals herself as the mystery sexy lady from the recent vignettes. After re-examining her career in a classic heel trope, she blames the fans for her past failures. She claims she's not our princess anymore, she's untouchable. Sure, whatever. Sasha Banks comes out still wearing her neck brace and says Bayley isn't here because she's scared. Sasha tells us that next week she's taking on Bayley in a women's championship match. Wait, what? The fans have desperately clamored to see this feud for over a year, and now that we're finally getting it, you're gonna have the blow-off on a random episode of SmackDown? Not Hell in a Cell coming up, or Survivor Series? Okay. As she rips off the neck brace, she claims that they both know when there's no one there to save her, Bayley doesn't stand a chance, bitch. Aw man, she said bitch, now you know it's serious. Somehow, it's already the main event, where Sami Zayn is taking on Jeff Hardy in a rematch for the Intercontinental title. I'm not exactly sure why Jeff deserves this since Zayn won the title fair and square in that triple threat ladder match at Clash of Champions, but sure, why not? Sami ensures that Greg Hamilton announces him properly tonight. I don't usually comment on Jeff's makeup, but he had this cool black and white checkerboard pattern that I just felt drawn to mention. During the introductions, Sami secretly removes one of the turnbuckle pads in his corner. Later in the match, he almost smashes Jeff's head into it, but Hardy stops and shows the ref, who does nothing about it. Still, it's a really great match with brawling on the outside, big moves, and even bigger reversals. Exactly what you'd expect from these guys. When an exploder suplex doesn't put Jeff away, Sami looks over at the exposed turnbuckle. The two men trade counters until Hardy jumps up on the top rope and Zayn takes out his legs. Jeff comes crashing down onto the dreaded tiny metal ring and collapses to the canvas like he's been shot. Sami makes the pin to retain his title and earn another well-deserved victory. He clutches the belt like it's his precious and the show ends. Seriously, that's it. Okay, awkward finish aside, that episode flew by, and my first reaction is that it was pretty good. Then again, SmackDown has been fairly consistent lately, unlike Raw. We'll have to wait and see how next week's draft affects that track record and the perception of each brand moving forward. However, for tonight, Roman Reigns continues to be the best character in WWE, The Fiend and Alexa Bliss are my dream pairing, we're finally getting Sasha vs. Bayley 2 next week, and the mid-card was entertaining enough all things considered, although that felt like way too many meaningless squashes for one night. Again, they can't exactly build to anything because of the draft, so I guess I'll cut them a little slack this week. I will say, there was a slightly strange vibe because I noticed a lot of the bigger names, Bayley, The Miz, Braun Strowman, Big E, were missing, and no explanations were given. Maybe it's COVID, maybe it's something else, but who knows with WWE. And that's yet another huge difference between them and AEW. Even with their own admitted mistakes, at least Tony Khan and his crew have been open and honest about COVID-related things since the start of the pandemic. That's in stark contrast to the Iron Curtain that is Vince McMahon, who has gone so far as to take over his independent contractors' Twitch streams in order to further control the flow of information about the virus. But that's a rant for another day. Alright, that'll do it for another Friday Night SmackDown. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I already did a predictions video for NXT TakeOver, but otherwise I won't be covering it. However, I will be back on Tuesday with an action figure review of Raw, so stop back then. As always, if you found me and enjoy my content, make sure to do all that normal YouTube stuff. Smash the like button, share with any wrestling or action figure fans you may know, subscribe to the channel, and spread the word. You can also talk to me over on Twitter, at PSUOptimus, or see all my best figure photography on Instagram at WrestlingOptimus. If you haven't seen my review of this week's Dynamite, you can check that out right here. But until next time, I've been Wrestling Optimus, and I'll catch you later.